Om Jnanatamandasya Ganasya Chakshurunmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes for the shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita.
As it is.
9, as it is, yes. Chapter 9, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. 16. Text number 16.
Yeah.
So, in 11 and 12, we read about the demons and how they end up frustrated in all their hopes and desires. And then we read about the devotees in 13 and 14. And then in 15, we read about the Jnanis, the Jnana yogis and personalists. They're the philosophical speculators. And now it's talking about how in the next 5 verses or so, it's talking about how Krishna manifests himself in the universe. So how we can see God through his energies, because it takes a very purified state for us to see him as a blue boy playing the flute with a peacock feather in his turban. We have to be very advanced in our love of God. So, but is it possible we can perceive him before that stage? Yes. So how do we perceive God before we can have the spiritual vision to see his original form? And that's through his different energies. So now it's going to start talking about that, like this verse: I am the ritual, I am the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering, like that. So how, when these are activities that we do, every day or very often. So whenever we do these activities, we can remember this activity, this is God. This is Krishna. He's saying, I am these things. So it's going to go through in the next 4 or 5 verses, a whole list of different activities that when we do these activities, we can remember this is Krishna. This is Krishna. Because there's no difference between Krishna and Krishna's energy. So just like a good example is, even if you can't see the sun, planet in the sky because there's some clouds there, but you can perceive the sunshine, the energy, right? And just by perceiving the sunshine, what do you know?
The sun is there.
The sun is there. So you can't see the sun, but you know the sun is there because you can perceive the energy of the sun, which is the sunshine, or the heat, So the sunshine produces heat and light. So if you perceive light and you perceive heat, then indirectly you are able to perceive the sun. You know the sun is there, even though you can't see it because it's blocked by the cloud. Then as long as you can perceive the sunshine and the heat, then you know it must be there. So in the same way, even though we can't see Krishna, but we can see Krishna's energy in the form of the sun and the moon and the different elements like that. And as he's saying here, the sacrifice, the fire, like the transcendental chant. So even like our chanting, right? We're chanting every day, Hare Krishna. So he's saying here, I am the transcendental chant. So these people say, oh, you're just chanting some ordinary words. But these are not ordinary words. These are transcendental chant, Hare Krishna and Rama. So he says, I am that. So like Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's actually dancing on your tongue. So we're not actually perceiving that, but the actual fact is that Krishna is present whenever we do this transcendental chant. this chant is identical with Krishna, like that. Okay, so let's read the verse. Aham kratur aham yagna
Aham kraturaham yagna.
swadhaham aham osadam
Swadaham ham akoshadham.
mantroham aham evajyam
Mantro mam aham mevagyam.
aham agnir aham hutam.
Aham agni aham hutam. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering of the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I mean, if Krishna says, I'm the butter, but we can't pray butter. We pray, when we do Krishna, Aarti or anything there, or any chanting there, but we can't just chanting fire or butter or a milk.
No, that's right. And yeah, you don't pray to a block of butter or anything. But
yeah, that's right. But we say, I'm the butter.
but
Butter
when
is a
you
Krishna.
have the butter, when you spread it on your roti, then you remember this butter is Krishna's energy, which is non-different from Krishna. So and it's easy to understand because just like without the sun existing, you don't have sunshine. You don't have any heat. So without Krishna, you don't have butter also. There wouldn't be any butter if it wasn't for Krishna. If Krishna did not exist, butter would not exist. Because, see, energies come from a person, right? Just like now there's sound energy coming from me, right? So there's just like there's sound coming from me. If I didn't exist, the sound wouldn't be coming, right? So you don't have energy by itself. So just like, like that you had prasadam today, but unless the cook was existing, you wouldn't have prasadam. You know what I'm saying? So always energy comes from a person. Energy comes from a person. So whenever you're in touch with the energies, which we are all the time, every day we're in touch with the sunshine, every day we're in touch with water, every day we're in touch with food and so many things. Butter.
Every second you're breathing.
Of course. So without Krishna, the air wouldn't exist because the air is the energy of Krishna. So the idea is we need a process how we can remember God all the time. How can you remember him all the time if you can't see him eye to eye, face to face all the time? You can by seeing his energies. So his energies are all around us 24/7. So all we have to do is link the energy with the person. You understand? All you have to do is create a link, a connection between the energy of the person and the person, which is not hard. It's like if you're a mum or dad, if you see your kid's shoes, what are you going to think of?
Kid shoes?
Yeah, if you just, not the kid, if you just see your kid's shoes.
You remember
like if you see if you saw your daughter's shoes, what would you remember?
Your daughter.
You remember your daughter, yeah. If you saw the book your daughter was reading, what would you remember?
Remember the daughter.
You remember the daughter. If you saw some of the clothes that your daughter wears, what would you remember?
Same thing. Remember the daughter.
Same answer. So everything, same answer. So everything connected with your daughter reminds you of your daughter. So it's obvious. It's not hard. So everything connected with Krishna reminds us of Krishna. You know what I'm saying? So in that way, we can remember Krishna all the time. I drink water, and I remember this is Krishna's energy. Krishna says in another part of the Bhagavad Gita, I am the taste of water.
Yeah.
He says, I am the taste of water. That's in, I think it's another chapter. Yeah, that's in another chapter. He says on the thing in the 10th chapter, I am the taste of water. So he says, I am the light of the sun. I am the light of the moon. I am the heat of fire. You know, here he says, I am butter. I am sacrifice. He says, I am the offering to the ancestors. So every time you do, you know, an offering to the ancestors, I mean, that's not so common in modern day society, but I mean, in Indian society, I mean, it was traditionally
But
there and still some.
one
I
thing
know.
is like that. Like now, my father passed away 20 years ago, 2005. So if I go to the Ganges or Kumbh Mela or something like that, should I still offer it? But my father will be reincarnated and must have a next birth or things like 20 years time. He's not going to be waiting there. So should I or shouldn't I? I should have to stop doing that because it's been 20 years.
Yeah, but he might not have gone to a good place. But if
he maybe
you
have if he reincarnate to another body or something like that,
which is likely, yeah, which is likely.
yeah, most likely 20 years time, yeah.
Yeah.
So should I discontinue that or should I? What's the point to?
No, I mean you could definitely because wherever he is now, if he's not in a good place, which is, well, you know, we've all done some bad karma, and if you're not Krishna conscious, that's not going to get cleared off. So you could be in a not a good place. So what happens when the main part of the offering is that you offer prasadam to the ancestor. So it said that Vishnu prasadam, when it goes to the ancestor, wherever they are, it frees them from sinful reactions, and they'll get elevated to a place called Pitri Loka, where the pious ancestors go. So that's a very pleasant place for them to be. You know, if they've gone to some hellish place or a bad kind of situation, then that's a great service for them. We know from the Bhagavatam that the sons of one king went looking for a sacrificial horse. So when they were performing traditionally some sacrifices, they would need one horse in that. And one particular time the horse was, who was the king that had his sons were disappeared when they went looking for the horse? Was it King Mandhata? You remember?
No, wasn't it when?
And then generations later, Bhagavad delivered them, his ancestors. Anyway, I don't remember. I think it was Mandhata or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So when the sons went missing, and then other relatives went looking for them, and eventually when they were found, their bones were found. And it was next to Kapila Deva's ashram. So Lord Kapila Deva was there, and the horse was there. So the horse they were looking for was right next to Kapila Deva's ashram. And then what had happened is that
they thought the sage had taken the horse.
They thought Kapila Deva had stolen the horse, so they attacked Kapila Deva. And when they attacked him, he burnt them to ashes with his eyes due to his spiritual power. So then that's how they died. So then they found out that how they could liberate them from any hellish condition that they had gone to would be to bring their ashes in contact with Ganges. So then their mission was to bring the Ganges down, because at that time the Ganges wasn't on the earth at this point. Ganges wasn't on the earth, it was in the heavenly planets. So the mission was to bring the Ganges down so that when it would wash over the ashes.
That was before Lord Rama's time.
Correct. Yeah, long time ago. Yeah, before Lord Rama's time. And that generation, they couldn't manage to bring the Ganges down. I think it took about 2 generations. And finally, one of the ancestors named Bhagirath, he performed severe austerities and he managed to bring the Ganges down.
Wasn't that the sons of Sagara?
Sagara, that's right, yeah. So the king's name was Sagara. Yeah, and his descendant was Bhagirath. So Bhagirath brought it down. That's why another name of Ganges is Bhagirath. Bhagirathi. Okay. So another name of Ganges is Bhagirathi. So because this king Bhagirath brought down the Ganges to the earth with his austerities. So yeah, and then finally brought the Ganges in touch with them, and they got freed from any sinful reactions. So the point was, because you mentioned that it was 20 years ago, but this situation was generations, like hundreds and hundreds of years between when they were killed and when they were freed from sins by the Ganges. It was hundreds of years, not just 20 years. So yeah, it doesn't matter the time period, but wherever they are, it'll be a blessing for them. However, now we can look at it from another angle, that generally if someone is Krishna conscious, then we don't bother to do all these offerings to the ancestors. So why is that? Because the idea is that if we become a devotee, well, especially a pure devotee, ideally a pure devotee, then automatically they're going to get liberated. And as it said in the Bhagavatam, in the pastime, I think, of Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto, 7 generations before the devotee get liberated, and 7 generations in the future. Means your daughter, your daughter's children, their children, blah, 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 going forward. So in that case, Krishna's taking care of that, because he knows, we like our family members and that. So Krishna's encouraging everyone to take the devotional service, that you just become my devotee. I'll take care of all your family. I'll make their lives, much better. So that's an extra incentive. Krishna's giving us so many incentives to become Krishna conscious. And you don't really have to worry about anything else, like your family and everything. Just serve Krishna. That's the idea. You can just wholeheartedly dedicate yourself to serving Krishna. You don't have to separately do something for your relatives and everything like that. Krishna will take care. You just serve Krishna and Krishna will take care of you. And that's love, right? We love Krishna, we serve Krishna, and Krishna loves us. Krishna serves us by, taking care of family and so forth like that. So this is the loving exchange between Krishna and Krishna's devotees. However, I mean, there's no harm also. There's no harm for a devotee, because it's quite a Krishna conscious ritual that you offer prasadam to Krishna, to Vishnu, and then that prasadam, mahaprasadam, you give it to your ancestors, a picture of ancestor. So there's no harm in doing all these kind of things, but it's sort of like optional for a devotee. It's optional. If you're not a devotee, if you're a decent kid, you should do that for your parents. If you're not a devotee, then, I mean, if you really care about your parents, I mean, they should do it. So, and that was the word in Sanskrit for a son is putra.
Yeah.
Putra, right? What does putra mean? So the son is called putra. Put means hell, and tra means to free or deliver. Put means hell, and tra means to deliver. Like mantra, we chant mantra. Man means mind, and tra means to deliver the mind. So deliver the mind and deliver from hell. So the son is supposed to deliver the father from hell. That's putra. Why was it so important in Vedic culture for every family to have a son? That was always emphasized. The reason why it was so important to have a son was so when you die, the son performs these rituals called Shraddha and Pinda to deliver your soul from any hellish place that you've fallen into. So that was the importance. You know, there was one king, Chitraketu. He had one wife and he didn't get a son. So then he got another wife. And then didn't get a son, and then another wife, and like that he got 10 million wives. It seems unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not joking, and the Bhagavatam's not joking either. So, but this is in a previous age, you know, probably Satya Yuga, where people lived.
What was his name? What was his name?
Chitraketu. Chitraketu in the sixth canto Bhagavatam. Narendra could probably confirm that. I think he's read the sixth canto.
I'll speak to him.
See if he remembers. You can quiz him, test him, whether how many wives did King Chitraketu have. And the purpose why he did that was not because he was super lusty. I'm sure there was some lust there, but that wasn't the main reason. He was trying to get a son. So eventually what happened is that even with all those wives, he still didn't get a son, because actually it wasn't his destiny. It was his karma that he wasn't going to get a son. But he appealed to Angira Muni. Was it Parvat Muni? Was it Narada and Parvat? I think it was Narada and Parvat, or two great sages. And then they blessed him that he would get a son. And they said, he'll be a source for you of harsha and shoka.
Happiness and sadness.
Yeah, happiness and sadness. So anyway, he didn't care at that point. He just wanted a son.
And he named the son Harsha Shoka.
I think he named the son Harsha Shoka.
Okay.
So he got Harsha, and that because, of course, when the son was born, he was so happy. So he got after that, such a long time, you know, waiting for a son, he was in ecstasy. And, but of course, the problem was the other 9,999,000 wives were not happy because they were getting neglected, because the one wife that had the son was getting all the attention from the king.
Sure.
And the other 9 million and so forth weren't. So they got together and made a conspiracy to kill the boy. So they poisoned the child. And you can imagine the lamentation after trying so hard and just got the son, and he was only just been there a short time, and then he died. So he almost went blind and lost his consciousness just out of his lamentation. Him and his wife fell down on the ground, like almost unconscious, and completely were bewildered. And at that time, by Krishna's arrangement, the two sages came back, and then they spoke to him transcendental knowledge, and then they snapped him out of his illusion. And they were so powerful, they actually brought the child back to life. They brought the dead child back to life for a short time. And the child spoke transcendental knowledge. And that was really powerful way to wake the parents up. So like one of the first things the sages said is that, why did you leave your parents at such an early age? And the soul in the child's body said, which parents? I've had millions of parents, millions of mothers, millions of fathers. So like that is transcendental knowledge, right? So we've had millions of parents. So in this life, we just, we remember one set of parents and they're all in all to us. But actually, we've had thousands and
That's right.
hundreds and thousands and millions of parents. So like that, it's when you see the big picture, then it's nothing to really worry about. Nothing to.
But obviously, he's not a devotee. If he were a devotee, first thing first, he wouldn't have that many million wives to get a son. Like, for example, like I've got just a daughter, and then doesn't mean that I don't have a son, so I can't get liberated because I don't have a son. Devotee doesn't think that far. You got a son or daughter.
No, like I said, because automatically we'll be liberated just by chanting Hare Krishna.
That's right.
So it's
probably he's not doing it only for liberation. He also wants his line to continue. He's a king.
John is saying, as a king, he'd want his line to continue. So that's also there. But the main thing is what I said. The main thing is what I said. It's a protective measure, so that when I die, if I fall down into a hellish place, then my son will free me from that through performing these rituals. Later on, not before. After he got enlightened from these two sages and his son, by Krishna's arrangement, he became fully Krishna conscious, pure devotee. And then he left everything. Then he left the palace and everything like that. But before that, before the child died, he was quite materialistic. So he was definitely thinking about, I need to get a son. So he definitely wasn't a fully Krishna conscious person. But later on, he did become a pure devotee.
Did you talk to your son about that when you passed away? How you get cremated or things like that? Did you ever talk to your son?
No, I haven't.
Means what's your desire? Do you want to be like a cremated in India sometimes, or?
Well, I keep telling Johnny she has to write our wills out. She has to write our wills and say that we want to be cremated and everything.
What happened that one will go first? Both can't go at the same time. What about the second one?
Yeah, unlikely, but yeah, it can happen. Yeah. But yeah, it's good to sort out these things.
That's right.
Because Prabhupada had a will also. It's just a practical thing you need to do. So even Prabhupada's a pure devotee, but he had a will.
But Dasharat was also very wanted a child.
Yeah, what's the point of you saying that?
I would consider Dasharat materialistic.
Yeah, well, we don't know his motivation. I mean, unless you read it. I mean, I can't remember reading what his motivation. But generally, even devotees, great devotees, they're still going to, function as what you need to do in the material world and have children and things like that. If you're a fan, especially, I mean, most kings, almost all kings would be grihastas. There's not many kings that are sannyasis or brahmachari. Normally they're grihastas, so they would have children. It's like automatically there. Being a grihasta without children is wasn't seen as a very sensible thing in Vedic culture. So automatically, if you're a grihasta, then children would be there. That's just sort of like natural. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with sex life as long as you're producing children. So it's not like it was not just that, oh, well, if you have a desire to have children, then you can't be a devotee. It's not like that. No, you can be a devotee and still have a desire to have children and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if I'm so glad that Prabhupada's father had a desire to have children. Otherwise we wouldn't have Prabhupada, and I'm so glad that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a Paramahamsa. He's a topmost devotee, and he had children. He had 10 children, and one of his children was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who was Prabhupada's guru. So I'm so glad that Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a desire to have children. So that's not that, a pure devotee can't have a desire to have children. We don't think that, you want to have children, you're a nonsense rascal or something. That's not like that. The main thing is that, you know, that a devotee shouldn't just have lots of sex without producing children. So, you know, sex without children is frowned upon. That's frowned upon. But having sex for the purpose of producing children, that's, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am that. I am sex life according to religious principles. So what is the religious principle of sex life? That means to produce children, you know. So they would, there's a particular time in the woman's menstrual cycle where she's fertile for producing a child. So they would have that knowledge. And at the time that the woman was fertile for producing a child, then the couple would engage in sex. And even before that, there was Garbhadam Samskara. So they would perform a purificatory rituals like that at that time, even before they conceive the child, to make it auspicious. And that, what would they do in that? Traditionally, they would distribute prasadam to all the people in their village or town or whatever. They would feed the brahmanas, feed the village people, and they would tell people, look, my wife and I want to produce a child. Please give us your blessings. So it wasn't like, oh, it's a secret, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Not like now, you know, like that. So Prabhupada knew it wasn't going to be possible to do all these things now. So he told his disciples, well, for this particular time, Garbhadan Samskar, you should chant 50 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha mantra before having sex with your wife. So both husband and wife would chant 50 rounds that day, 50 rounds before engaging in that. So
I'm just moving towards the charger. It's
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No worries, I'll wait.
All good.
Oh, yeah. All set.
So, my question was, when the Bhagavad been written, Bhagavatam, or been spoken the first time, and were there 18 cantos at the very first day?
12 cantos.
12. And
But
then,
some cantos are too big to put in one volume, so Prabhupada put in 2 volumes. So some of them, so you've got 18 books, 12 cantos, 18 books, because some of them are too big.
How the first time has been spoken Bhagavatam, like, you know, it's like before Lord Rama's
First time it was spoken publicly on this earth was Shukadeva Goswami, the Parikshit Maharaj. But before that, Vyasadeva spoke the Bhagavatam when his child was in the womb. Even when his child, Shukadeva Goswami, was in the womb. Because, I mean, how did Shukadeva Goswami have the Bhagavatam knowledge to speak to Parikshit later? Because he had already heard it when he was inside his mother's womb, like that.
And then from the very first day, there was a 12 canto, or is that,
what's that?
Like, is that the very first day was a 12 canto, or is that some add-on?
No, see, it's always expanding. It's not a static thing. It's ecstatic.
Yeah.
You know, so like the Bhagavatam that we have, like, for example, in the first canto, it has a conversation between Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. So that conversation of Sutta and Shaunaka Rishi and Naimisharanya, that took place after Shukadeva Goswami spoke it to Parikshit Maharaj, because not only Parikshit Maharaj was hearing Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami, you know, Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, right, to die in 7 days.
Yeah.
So he sat on the bank of the Ganges, and Shukadeva Goswami turned up naked and then spoke to him, right? But there was thousands of sages there at that time also listening along with Parikshit, what Shukadeva Goswami was saying. So one of the people in the audience was the Sutta Goswami. So then after Parikshit Maharaj died, bitten by the snake, later on, as Kali Yuga started, there were many sages that wanted to counteract Kali Yuga. They wanted to counteract all the negative influences of Kali Yuga. So they were going to perform a fire sacrifice for 10,000 years. They were going to perform a 10,000 year, or I think it was either 1,000 or 10,000, I can't remember, but a very long fire sacrifice. But because Kali Yuga had started, I mean, this verse, it's interesting we're talking about that, because this verse is talking about sacrifices. So they were going to perform a 1,000-year sacrifice, but they couldn't even light the fire. It was just producing smoke, because Kali Yuga, so nothing goes well in Kali Yuga. Nothing goes very well. I know even devotees that have got married, and you know, and in the wedding part of the marriage ceremony is a fire sacrifice, right? So sometimes the fire doesn't even burn properly because that's just part of Kali Yuga. I know even in our marriage it didn't burn very well, so the priest was having a hard time getting the fire to burn.
Yeah, they put
so that's just part of Kali Yuga. I mean, in previous ages, you didn't even need a match because the Brahmanas were so powerful. Just by chanting a mantra, the fire would just burn the wood. Just by mantra. But now, you know, we need a match. Even then, we can't light the fire. So they were just getting a lot of smoke. So they ended up with black faces and coughing up soot. So it was decided that instead of doing a fire sacrifice, let's do a sacrifice of hearing Bhagavatam. So then when they decided that, let's hear Bhagavatam, that will also create an auspicious atmosphere to counteract Kali Yuga. So then they had to pick who's going to speak. So Sutta Goswami was chosen because he was in the audience that heard from Shukadeva Goswami when he was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So he repeated it. So what I'm saying is that what we have now in the Bhagavatam has a bit more than what Shukadeva Goswami heard from Vyasadeva when he was in the womb. Because at that time, there was no Sutta Goswami speaking to the sages of Namastranya. So it's always expanding.
Yeah, but what do you reckon, like another 100,000 years is like Chaitanya Charitamrita will be added into the Bhagavatam, or possibility?
No, well, I mean, after 10,000 years, it's all going to disappear.
Yeah, but 10,000
there's no more Krishna consciousness after 10,000 years.
Yeah, but within 10,000, it can be like instead of another 2 canto will be added up in there.
No. It's said that Prabhupada's books will be the law books for the next 10,000 years. So it's not going to be changed. So the Bhagavatam, the way it is now, is the same for the next 10,000 years. As long as devotees don't edit it too much. Because that's a big controversy. That some people means some Prabhupada's disciples in ISKCON are trying to change Prabhupada's books. So there's a lot of devotees really upset. Huh?
Why they change it? Why they want to change it?
Well, they're thinking they weren't written good enough, but that's actually an offense. That's actually an offense to think that your spiritual master has, made some mistakes or whatever, hasn't written it good enough. The only thing that Prabhupada wanted change was any grammatical errors, any like spelling mistakes, right? Some obviously, you left letter out of the word, or spelled it wrong, so that has to be changed. But he didn't want the actual content to be changed. I mean, like the Bhagavad Gita, if you got an original Bhagavad Gita from, say, 1972, and you got the Bhagavad Gita now in 2025, it's not going to be the same. You know, you can compare the translations and part of the purports, and many of them have been changed. You know, some minor way, but some not so minor. So actually, Prabhupada said his books are going to be the law books for the next 10,000 years. So, I mean, like, it's like you don't change the law book, do you? That's against the law to change the law book.
But a politician, they just add and edit there in the law. Politician, you know, when the government wants to add something in the law or edit in there, government is allowed to, you know, they will make another law, just add into the book, become a law. You know, this is this.
Yeah, they do create new laws. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, of course, you know, devotees are always going to be writing more transcendental literatures, and Prabhupada encouraged his disciples to write books.
Yeah,
However, what we're saying is though that his book should not be changed. They don't need to be edited beyond just spelling mistakes, so they shouldn't be changed. But you know, there's nothing stopping you or me, if we're knowledgeable enough, from writing, you know, another commentary on Bhagavad Gita if we want to, you know. But why change Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita? You know, so leave Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you think you have some better ideas or more ideas or whatever, then you write, you know, Gulshan's Bhagavad Gita or Abai's Bhagavad Gita.
That's Radhanath Maharaj disciple. They all have in the books, or they are all preaching. And then I see some Bhagavad Gita simple way. They did that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. As long as you understand the philosophy correctly and don't misrepresent what Krishna has said. But if you have your own, you know, angle you want to present or whatever, that's okay. But yeah, we shouldn't change Prabhupada's books. That's the important point there. But
so next 10,000 years, there's not going to be any sage like a Prabhupada. The next 10,000 years, it'll be pretty much, because Prabhupada came, like, you know, now 10,000 is a long time. Maybe, you know, like what Mahabharata happened 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And this looked like a long, long time. And Lord Buddha came 2,500 years ago. Christianity started 2,500 years ago. 10,000 is a long period of time, but there won't be coming anyone like Prabhupada from now till 10,000 years.
It doesn't look like it. Otherwise, why would Prabhupada say that his books will be the law books?
Okay.
And he knows he's an eternal associate of Krishna. He would know if someone's going to come in another 1,000 years or 2,000 years and give some more contribution or whatever. So, but the fact that he said the next 10,000 years, and then after 10,000 years, it all goes back to Kali Yuga, and not really any Krishna conscious movement. And he said that there won't be a Krishna conscious movement after 10,000 years. And then it's only revived at the end of Kali Yuga when Kalki comes, and then a new Satyuga will start, and then it'll be kicked off again. So yeah, it doesn't look like. I mean, I'm not saying there won't be great devotees between now and 10,000 years, but not in terms of, you know, developing the philosophy to the point that, you know, we don't need Prabhupada's books or whatever. It looks like Prabhupada's books are going to be the main books for the next 10,000 years.
It's a long period, 10,000 period.
Yeah, but I mean, in universal time, it's like just a flash.
Yeah,
it's just a flash. Yeah, it's not so long. And okay, let's you read the translation, and then we'll look at the purport.
Yeah, I already read the translation. I'm going to the purport now.
Oh, let's just read it again. It's no harm reading it again.
But it is I who am the ritual, or the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herbs, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering.
Yeah.
Purport. The Vedic sacrifice known as Jyotishtama is also Krishna.
Mm.
And he is also the Mahayagna mentioned in Samriti.
Mm.
The oblation. What's oblation means?
Oblations. The oblations means what you're putting into the fire, like the ghee,
Yeah,
like the
ghee.
ghee or the rice or
Yeah,
the
that's
sesame
right, yeah.
seeds or whatever. Yeah.
The oblation offers to Pitraloka or sacrifice performance to please the Pitraloka, considered as a kind of a drug in the form of clarified butter, is also Krishna. The mantra chant in the connection are also Krishna. And many other commodities made with the milk product for offering in the sacrifice are also Krishna. The fire is also Krishna, because fire is one of the five elements and is therefore claimed is as the separated energy of Krishna. In other words, the Vedic sacrifice recommended in the Karma Kanda division of Vedas are in total also Krishna. Or, in other words, those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna or are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifice recommended in the Vedas. Basically, everything is Krishna.
Yeah, yeah. Everything in this verse is related to fire sacrifices. Everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just, it just came to me that we've talked about, Krishna's talked about the bhakti yogis in 13 and 14. And in 15, he's talked about the jnana yogis.
Yeah.
Now he's talking about the karma yogis.
Yeah.
So how they can be elevated. How the karma yogis, because karma yogis, they perform, means like, karma means like fruitive activities. They perform fruitive activities. And the traditional fruitive activity would mean like fire sacrifices, and they're making different offerings, and they want to go to different planets, they want to go to higher planets and everything like that by doing these different fire sacrifices. Actually, the main way to become uplifted in Kali Yuga is chanting Hare Krishna. But if you go back, like in other ages, fire sacrifices were emphasized as the dharma, as the yuga dharma, the recommended process for the particular age, especially in Treta Yuga and also quite a lot in Dwapara Yuga. There was many fire sacrifices, so it was very commonly done. And if you go back in time, every Brahmana would be doing regular fire sacrifices. It was like almost like a daily ritual. I remember even Yuga Kula, there was some people living down the road, not far away from Yuga Kula, that every day, every morning, they would do a fire sacrifice. Every morning. Yep, just down the road. It's called Agnihotra. Yeah, so Agni means fire, and Hotra means, I suppose, like sacrifice. And Prabhupada actually, what does he used that word in, where did he say? I thought he said that word somewhere. Did he say Hotra? Thought I read that word somewhere. Oh no, maybe not. But yeah, they were doing it. They were doing it every day. They were doing it. So still, even in Kali Yuga, there's still a bit of leftover fire sacrifices from previous ages. So yeah, this is.
They had given that ash, saying that ash is very good for going.
Yeah, so some of the ash from their fire sacrifices, they gave it to us, saying spread around your garden. It's very good to make the plants grow. Was this holy ash from the sacrifices? So yeah, this is specifically going to be relevant to the persons involved in karma yoga, fruitive activities, or as Prabhupada's mentioning in the purport, karma kanda. So there's one section of the Vedas that deals with all these fruitive activities, fire sacrifices. There's actually three. The Vedas is divided into three divisions. There's karma kanda, that means these fire sacrifices, fruitive activities for the purpose of elevation to the heavenly planets. And then there's jnana kanda, the section which deals with mental speculation, and then and with the idea of understanding Brahman from that mental speculation. And then there's called upasana kanda. Upasana kanda means worship, so worship of Bhagavan, so worshipping the Supreme Lord. So those are the three sections: karma kanda, jnana kanda, and upasana kanda. So we're actually following the upasana kanda section, where we worship Bhagavan, the Supreme Person of Godhead. But yeah, others doing these other things like that. So this Jnana yogis, they follow the Jnana kanda, and these here in this verse, karma kanda section. So yeah, this is especially relevant to those that are doing those fire sacrifices in the karma kanda section. And everything in this verse is actually to do with these sacrifices. So when it's saying the transcendental chant, particularly it's referring, not specifically to the Hare Krishna mantra, which it could do, but in this context, it's referring to while they're doing the fire sacrifices, they're chanting so many mantras to different personalities, But Krishna is saying here that these sound vibrations of these different mantras that are recited in the fire sacrifice, these sound vibrations, they are Krishna. So this sound is Krishna. There's one verse where Krishna says, later on, I think it's in the 10th chapter, he says, I am the sound in ether. So ether means space. So in space, sound is traveling through space. So sound is traveling through space. So Krishna says he is sound. So really any kind of sound you hear, that sound is actually Krishna's energy.
But we seen here, this is Krishna, this is Krishna. Give me an example which is not Krishna.
Exactly. There's nothing that's not Krishna.
Nothing. So pretty much he's I'm the butter, I'm the fire. Anything we can say is not Krishna?
Yeah.
Nothing.
So he's just giving us some main examples. He's not going to give us a complete list because it would be impossible to give a complete list.
Everything is Krishna anyway.
But these are some main examples. But like here in this verse is especially applicable to those engaged in fire sacrifices, as how they can remember Krishna. So if the ritual itself, the whole fire sacrifice process itself, that is Krishna. When you do an offering to the ancestors, that's Krishna. The healing herb, and then interestingly, Prabhupada said there, the oblations offered to the Pitri Loka, that means the planet where the ancestors are, because Pitri means ancestors and Loka means planet. So there's like I mentioned, there's a planet where the pious ancestors go. Means if you've given them the prasadam, then they'll be elevated to that it's like a heavenly planet, Pitri Loka. And that's actually where Yamaraj lives. He lives on Pitri Loka, Yamaraj. So he's a demigod. So although he punishes the sinful souls in Naraka Loka, but he doesn't live on Naraka Loka. Isn't it like the person that runs the prison, he doesn't live in the prison. isn't it? He doesn't live in the prison. So Yamaraj, although his job is in Naraka Loka, but he doesn't live in Naraka Loka. He lives in Pitri Loka. And interestingly, although Naraka Loka is right down the bottom of the universe, right down the bottom, above where, and the universe is half full of water, which is called the Garbhodaka Ocean, right? And the top half is full of space. And in the top half space is so many planets, right? So many, we see some of them in the sky at night, so many planets. But in the lowest planets, close to the water, that is the Naraka Loka planets. And there's not one hellish planet. There's 28 described in Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, 28 of them. So, and Yamaraj's job is to punish those sinful souls. And Pitri Loka, where he lives, is right next to the Naraka Loka. But even though Pitri Loka is way down the bottom, that doesn't mean it's a bad place. It's actually a very good place, but it just happens to be close to hell because that's where he has to work. So you don't want to live too far away from where you work, right?
Is it Jayanti is get punished? She stand there. Is she punished?
You can see me, is it?
Yeah, because she's standing there. Look like she gets punished. You can't sit.
That's the naughty corner. That's the naughty corner over there. It's the naughty corner, yeah.
It's okay.
Reminding us of our days at school.
That's okay. Yeah, it's.
So yeah, Prabhupada mentions there, or the sacrifice mentioned, sacrifice performed to please the Pitriloka, considered as a kind of drug in the form of clarified butter, is also Krishna. So yeah, I was just wondering why he's saying considered as a kind of drug in the form of clarified butter, is also Krishna. So how they're comparing ghee or clarified butter to a kind of drug, I wasn't exactly sure. But then
in Ayurveda they have medicated ghee.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Jayanti mentioned in Ayurveda they have medicated ghee. So what's often done is you put herbs, medicinal herbs, in the ghee. You put medicinal herbs in the ghee, and then you give that to the patient. Because why put the herb in the ghee? Because ghee has the ability to be transported everywhere in the body. Like if you eat ghee, it'll go right through your arms and your legs and your backside and your head and all the veins and everywhere. It's like it's a wonderful medium to go everywhere through the body. And actually honey is similar. So that's another way they would mix the herbs and honey in Ayurveda. So either they mix the herb with honey or mix it with ghee, and then it goes everywhere through the body.
Water doesn't go everywhere?
Not the same. Not the same.
Water gets absorbed in the cell.
Jayanti's saying water gets absorbed by the cells. So yeah, it's going to the cells, but not necessarily everywhere. But yeah, ghee is a great way, and honey, to transport things wherever you want it to go, everywhere. So also, so they would put these powerful medicinal herbs in the ghee. And like that sounds like that's what they were doing in the fire sacrifices too, is not just giving the plain ghee and putting that in the fire, but putting some special herbs in the ghee and then offering that to the fire. Because in the verse it's saying osadam. So osadam means healing herb.
Yeah.
It means healing herb, medicinal herb.
In our language it's medicine.
Medicine, yeah. Jayanti's saying in Tamil, Osadi means medicine.
In Sanskrit also.
In Sanskrit also. And we know that from even Ramayana, right? That when Lakshman was hit by Indrajit's powerful weapon, then he fell down unconscious, and then Hanuman was sent to get the Sanjeevani herb, special herb that even this herb is so powerful that even someone is dead, it'll bring him back alive.
That's right.
It'll bring him back alive, Sanjeevani. So
he bring
there
the
are herbs.
he bring the whole mountain.
He didn't know which is the right one because he's only a monkey, right? He's not like a herbalist.
I heard about that. You know, the Sanjeevani herb was the same thing when the Shabri was giving that the fruit to the Rama for tasting and give it to Rama, make sure it's not sour. And Lord Rama was eating, but give it to Lakshmana as well. Lakshmana, he didn't eat that. He said, because she already tasted, then give it that. He was just throwing at the back. And he said, yeah, I'm eating. And those become Sanjeevani, and he has to eat that same again. That herb become herb, yes, because he wasn't eating that. Lord Rama eating with the love, but he was a very angry person. You know, it's like he's the son of Sheshnag or something, and he was just throwing. He wasn't eating, but Lord Rama said, "You gotta be eat now or later, no matter what." So
actually, Lakshman is a incarnation of Balaram, and Balaram is Seshnaga. He's the one incarnation. Another incarnation of Balaram is Seshanag. So yeah, they're the same.
Eventually, he has to eat that herb because that's the one Shabri was giving to Lord Rama and Lakshmana as well. Lakshmana eat, and he just throw that, and then eventually he has to eat because Shabri was waiting. She said, I don't know, I heard one of the thing there. She waited around 10,000 years for Lord Rama to come.
Wow.
He wasn't
That's devotion.
If she was waiting long time, yes. But she's
That's what you call patience. That's real patience.
Patience. And the faith, yes, my Lord Rama will come no matter what. And Lord Rama did come, and she offered that, and then she was just giving that make sure it's not sour. And Lord Rama was eating, enjoying, because her power was like, immaculate. You cannot put a doubt on her power so much. Because Krishna can see, Lord Rama can see. Lord Rama, you can see what the power is. Like Meera, when she was, she does not know, like, in a bhakti, that nobody can beat Meera. Meera was like, she got nothing to do with the Bhagavatam or anything. Bhakti was just like that much, like she got like the Lord Krishna's vigraha, and then everywhere she goes with it, it's like a madness. It does not think at all. Just Lord Krishna, and then singing for that. And one guy, he says, she was singing, and she was singing. One of the poet was there. Poetry was going on, and then this is your singing wasn't in the tone, like, you don't know the way to sing. And then she said, yeah, maybe, because if you have to sing for the human, yes, you need the certain tone and the standard. But if you sing for Krishna, you don't need any standard, any tone, whatever tone Krishna will understand. You don't need to be. It's just purity. If you dance for Krishna, you don't need to see what steps are there. Like, okay, if it's a dancing club, they will say, oh, Abhay Prabhu, you was dancing, but your step wasn't right. But if you dance for Krishna, no regulations. Any step will be a correct step.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting. And it reminds me that if you listen to Prabhupada singing bhajans, it's really unique. You're probably not going to find any other musician or singer.
Because he was singing for Krishna, not for you, not for me, not for Peter.
Because it's not a usual kind of way of singing. The way Prabhupada sung the songs is very unique, and it wasn't really fitting in with current ways of singing
that's
songs.
right. It's
But you
fitted that
listen to
Krishna's
them and it's
love.
like goes right to the heart. It's so powerful. Goes right to the heart because he's singing, like you said, with a bhav, not
Yeah,
with
that's
any, just following modern, tunes,
these
meters and things.
there's a few saintly people. I heard that it's one saint called Tukaram.
Yeah.
He was like, he's like in one of the, so they were saying when he passed away, that Lord Krishna's chariot came to get him. He's just not like a average person.
One Vimana,
Vimana,
the Vaikuntha plane
chariot, yeah,
came to pick him
yeah,
up.
that's right.
There's
So
if you haven't
clear
seen it,
bhakti.
there's a beautiful black and white movie. It was done in the like 1920s or 30s. It's spoken in Marathi, but English subtitles, so you can read the subtitle. It's the most amazing film I've ever seen. I was crying.
What
I've
was the
watched
name
it.
of the movie?
It's just called Tukaram. It's called. You'll be able to watch it on YouTube or something for sure. Yes, Saint Tukaram. It's called Saint Tukaram. Saint Tukaram.
So
Sant
for
or
these
Sant.
these yeah,
Sant. Sant. Yeah.
yeah, sant, we call saint. So
You
these
have to. If you
saintly,
haven't watched
yeah,
it, you have to watch it. It's just
he,
so many valuable instructions, and
that's right. These,
you would swear that the actor playing the part of Tukaram is actually a pure devotee.
wow.
He's such. It's like you feel this is a real devotee you're watching on the film, not just an actor. It's
Yeah.
just real bhav
So
coming out of the actor.
these saintly people, they're not maybe the brahmana. They don't know any Bhagavatam or shlokas, anything, but they're just mad about Krishna. That's it. You know, like a 24/7, just one thing,
Yeah,
Krishna. It's
yeah, yeah.
just very like hard. And then one was that like one was the saint that he just killed his own son was chanting Krishna. He just walking on his and then killed his own little baby. It's I was watching that. Vishwambar showed me that the clip.
Hmm.
I don't know what was that. And then eventually that Krishna will give a birth back to that. And he did not know his own babies in the feet, and he's walking on it and he killed it.
Wow.
But it's like ecstasy for Krishna. I can't remember his name, but yeah. So it's like that kind of ecstasy. If you do have it, that's extreme. Prahlad Maharaj, which was like that kind of ecstasy. It doesn't see these days anyone, but I'm sure there
Well,
must be
we don't
some.
know. We haven't seen everyone. We don't know
Yeah,
what's
I
going
didn't see that. Doesn't mean that doesn't exist.
on.
Even
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they
we don't
exist,
know.
it might not be in my luck to see that, but
Yeah.
it does exist. Maybe they're chanting or dancing in the woods or somewhere in the
Because
jungle.
because
Yeah,
this process of bhakti is eternally
yeah,
present everywhere. It's not that, oh, it was only in the time of Prahlad Maharaj it was there, or it was only in the time of Krishna, or it was only in the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's always there. It's just a
always.
matter of whether we surrender. As soon as we surrender, then all the mercy is there, the kripa, the bhava, everything is there. So and that's potential is always there for free choice if we want to surrender or not surrender. And as soon
That's
as we
right.
surrender, then everything is there. All that nectar and ecstasy and bhav and so much is
Yeah.
there.
That's,
So, but as we
uh,
know, surrender is not so easy.
no,
So,
not that easy. Yeah, but it's like it might
yeah,
take a lot of birth. It doesn't happen in one.
that's all right. That's all right.
So
So, yeah, every single thing is Krishna. So, even for the
so we
karma,
can't.
the follower,
There's nothing we can say is not Krishna. You can say anything
there's
which is
nothing.
not
That's
nothing.
what Maya means. The thinking that we have that there's something that exists that's not Krishna. That is what is Maya. That is the meaning. Maya means that which is not. So we're thinking there's something that's not Krishna, which is impossible.
Yes.
So, and that's when we call that illusion. So we say Maya is
Either
illusion.
it's a Krishna
So
or
that's
Krishna's
the,
creation.
yeah.
Means if you say this house has got a bricks, you can't say bricks is a Krishna. Bricks may be Krishna's creation, made out of the dirt, or the doors is the timber. Timber come off the tree. It's like a Krishna's creation. I can't say the brick is a Krishna, but it's Krishna's creation. Door
Correct.
is not a Krishna, but Krishna's
Yeah.
creation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything is creation. Krishna's
So,
creation.
so when we say it's Maya, so which is illusion, so it's not that the house is an illusion or the car is an illusion or the money is an illusion or the family is an illusion or the job is illusion. But what's the illusion is thinking that the house, the car, the job, the money, the family is not connected with Krishna. That's the illusion. See what I mean?
That's the illusion.
So it's not that the material things themselves is what the illusion is. And that's what a lot of people think. That's a big misunderstanding. Even a lot of devotees have, thinking that it's all these material things that's Maya. But actually, the Maya, what it really means is not the material things, but what the illusion is, the Maya, is we forget Krishna when we engage with these material things. So we're thinking that Krishna's not there, that when we're in the house and we're in the car, that Krishna's not there, that we're thinking the money has no relationship with Krishna, it's my money. Instead we should be thinking it's Krishna's money, but we're thinking it's my money and my house, but no, it's Krishna's house. So it's not the house is Maya, but it's me forgetting that the house belongs to Krishna and falsely claiming that it's my house. That's what Maya is. But a lot of people think that the house is Maya, the car is Maya, the wife is Maya, the kids are Maya, people are Maya, everything, the body is Maya. No, but it's that forgetfulness of Krishna. If you're remembering Krishna, there's no Maya.
Right.
There's one beautiful verse, which a picture of it is on the front of every Back to Godhead magazine at the top, which is Krishna Surya Sama Maya Handakar Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Maya Adhikar. So that's Bengali. What it means is that Krishna Surya Sama, that Krishna is equal to the sun. Krishna is like the sun. Krishna is compared to or like the sun. Krishna Surya Sama. Maya Haya Andakar. And Maya is like the darkness. The Krishna is like the sun, and Maya is like the darkness. And then it says, wherever there is Krishna, there is no darkness. Yeah. So Krishna is like the sun, Maya is like the darkness. So wherever there is Krishna, there cannot be any darkness like that. So for a pure devotee who always remembers Krishna in every situation, like here, you're using butter, you remember Krishna. So when you put your ghee, I know you use ghee because I was in your house. So when you use your ghee, you can remember this ghee is Krishna's energy. So you can remember Krishna like that. So and when you, like here, we cook on a wood fire and we heat the house with wood also. So every time we see the fire, we should remember that the Agni, right? The Agni is the energy of Krishna. So here in the verse it says Agni, fire. So, and Krishna says, I am that. It says Aham Agni. See, look at this. Look how many times in this verse Krishna says the word Aham. Can you count them up?
I. It's like so many times. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6,
7,
8.
Yeah.
8 times. 8 times. Because even in the word, look, Swadhaham. So that Aham is in there too. Swadhaham. So that's Aham. Swadhaham. You see? Because it's actually 2 words, Swadha and Aham. Ablation, Swadha.
Yeah.
That's interesting, like swaha. 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 Actually, that reminds me, this word swadha, which is like almost swaha, which I'm sure that's where it comes from. So every time you offer something into a fire, every time you offer something, like when you put the ghee in the fire, you have to say swaha, and you offer rice in the fire, swaha. When you offer the kheer, payasam, swaha, bananas, swaha. That swaha is actually Agni's wife name. It's actually the name of Agni's wife is swaha. So that's why when you offer something into Agni, into the fire, you say his wife's name, Swaha. Interesting, huh?
It is.
So that's whatever you're offering in the fire, that's called Swadha. Swadha. Whatever you offer, ghee or whatever it is, you call that Swadha. Yeah. And when you offer the thing, you say Swaha. His wife's name. But Krishna says here, Aham Agni. So he says, I am the fire. And then Aham Hutam. So Hutam is the offering. So whatever you're putting into the fire, that's also Krishna. So if you put the sweet rice in the fire, the kheer, that kheer is also Krishna. You know, you're putting wheat, grains, or rice, sesame seed. That's also means that.
If the Agni is Krishna, we put the rice in the Krishna, we put Krishna into the Krishna.
Yeah, putting Krishna into Krishna.
Yeah.
Because we know it's Krishna's energy. But the thing to understand is there's no real difference between Krishna's energy and Krishna, because Krishna's energy comes from Krishna. And like we said in the very beginning, there, in one sense, the sunlight is different from the sun. The heat from the sun is different from the sun. But in another sense, it's the same thing. It's just a tiny part of the sun, right? Like that ray of sunshine, that sunbeam, is just a tiny part of the sun, right? The heat is a tiny part of the sun. The light is a tiny part of the sun. So it's not different from the sun in quality, but it is different in quantity. You know what I'm saying? So the quantity is different. It's very small, whereas the sun is very big. But the quality is the same. It's exact. There's nothing different in the sunshine than what's in the sun. It's exactly the same. And another example. What's
Drop
that?
of the ocean is still an ocean. Drop of the ocean
Yeah,
is still an ocean.
yeah. So that's the next example I was going to give. You said it. So yeah, so that ocean drop is exactly the same as the whole ocean. H2O plus salt. It's exactly the same. There's no difference.
Quantity.
The only difference is that that drop is very small and the ocean's very big. So in that same example, we can see the butter and the fire and the water and all these kind of things. The words that we're chanting. It's just tiny drops of Krishna, or rays from Krishna, sparks. Another example is the fire. You have a spark comes out of the fire. It's the same as the fire, but it's just small fire. And there's the big fire. So there's a small fire and a big fire, but it's the same thing. And if you have a small fire, you can understand there must be a big fire. If you can see, like I said, the sunshine, you can feel the heat of the sun, you know the sun is there. If you've got a drop of water, you know the ocean must be there. So like that. It's not wrong for Krishna to say, I am the fire, I am the butter, because it's a fact. It's just tiny parts. And In the same way, he can say, I am the soul.
Yeah.
Like even the soul within your body and the soul within my body, that is also Krishna, in a tiny part of Krishna. You know, and the body itself, it's made up of earth and water and fire, air and space. That is also Krishna. So Krishna could also say, I am Gulshan's body. I am Gulshan's soul. I am Abhai's body. I am Abhai's soul. So everything is made up of his energy, and it's not different from him. So like that. So that's correct that he is saying that. And but it's not that, oh, you can grab a block of butter and say, oh, I've got Krishna now. I've captured Krishna. He says I am butter and I've got a block of butter, so I've got Krishna. So in another sense, there's a difference. You know what I'm saying? So in another sense, and we just read verses about that in the beginning of this chapter, where he's saying, let's look at that. And text 4 and text 5 of the same chapter, text 4, text 5.
By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is provided. All beings are in me, but I am not in them.
So there you have it. He says, everything's in me, but I am not in them. You know, I'm not in everything. So everything's in him, but he's not in everything. So you can't say, oh, I've got Krishna, I've got the block of butter, but he's not in the block of butter. But the block of butter is in him. You got it? So like he's saying here, all beings are in me, but I'm not in them. So the block of butter is in Krishna, but Krishna is not in the block of butter. You got it?
Yeah,
Going by
Prabhupada gave an example of food. You know, the food guy.
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah. And then fifth one is, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold, my mystic opulence, although I am the maintainer of all living entity, although I am everywhere, I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very real source of creation.
Yeah. So Krishna makes it clear he's not a part of the material creation, but he's the source of it. So the butter comes from him, the fire, the ghee, everything like that, but he's not in it like that.
Yeah, okay.
And yet, and he says that though, he says, although I'm the maintainer of all the living entities, and although I am everywhere. So he says I am everywhere. And you know, in Prahlad's pastime, Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad so many ways, and he's super powerful. He all the demigods were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. He's so powerful, but he couldn't kill a 5-year-old boy in the form of a son. He couldn't kill him. He tried so many ways, and he said, in complete frustration and bewilderment, he said to his son, where do you get your power from? I can't kill you. Where do you get power from? And Prahlad said, I get my power from the same place you get your power from. And that really peeved him off when he said that, basically God, saying that, you know, the demon's power was coming from God. And then he said, okay, well, where is this God that you're getting your power from? And Prahlad said he's everywhere, same as what it's saying here. He's everywhere. And then Hiranyakashipu said, well, if this God is everywhere, then he must be in this pillar, because they were standing next to a pillar, a big column. And he said, and then he must be in this pillar. And if he's in this pillar, then I will kill him. Ah, bang! And then he bashed it with his sword. And then Nrsimhadev came out of the pillar, and very famous, you know that. So actually, Krishna can, if he wants. Yeah. If he wants, he could be in the butter.
Yes.
He could be in the fire. He could be in the wood. You know, and we have that, right? Like you're sitting next to Jagannath, so is wood. So is Krishna in the wood? He can be if he wants, or he might not be. So, and that's his omnipresence, you know, his omnipotency. If he wants, he can manifest himself in anything, in the wood, in the metal, and then that's why we have the deity, right? Is the deity just ordinary wood or a marble or whatever? No, like Radha Gokulananda, marble, that's actually Krishna. So Krishna, if he wants, he can be present everywhere. So yeah, due to the bhav of the devotee, he can manifest in something that we can see, like wood, marble. We can't see, like I said in the beginning, we can't see his spiritual form in the beginning. So out of his mercy to the devotees, he appears in a form that we can see: wood, marble, a painting, metal, like that. Like we have a little Gauni tie made of metal. So Krishna can appear in metal, or Jagannath wood, Radha Gokulananda marble, in something that we can see. But when he appears in that, form, then it's not ordinary wood anymore. It's not ordinary marble anymore. It's actually Krishna. I know you've got a busy day today, so we'll stick to our time.
I've got to do a more salad actually, because
Oh yeah, that's all right.
he said that can you do it for Friday, Saturday as well, because I do only 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday. So Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday, the busy times, Brett messaged me, can you do an extra salad? So I'm
Sure.
gonna be go ahead and do that.
No problem. Yeah, go for it. Nice to see you again, Prabhu. Thanks very much. Okay, Hare Krishna.